Charge.
I got it. Cold Cans Nation, for the last 3 months, most of us have been stuck at home. Homebodies, if you will. And much the same way, between Prohibition in 1976, Coors, the banquet beer, was a homebody as well, available in only 11 states, all in the West. The stuff was unpasteurized, contained no preservatives, and had to be kept cold, so long journeys just weren't a possibility. The first steps towards national distribution actually came in the 1950s when Coors helped pioneer the use of cold filtering, sterile filling, aluminum cans, and refrigerated trucks, but it wouldn't reach all 50 states until it landed in Indiana in 1991. So in that way, much like the American public must be going forward, Coors has a history of being a survivor and did end up navigating a banquet-free prohibition by operating a porcelain plant. Chemical and scientific porcelain had previously been imported from war-ravaged Germany, as well as making non-alcoholic Coors pure cereal beverage during the prohibition. Good Lord. Government-controlled distilled alcohol
beverage.
They made government-controlled distilled alcohol, which was diverted to pharmacies for sale with people with prescriptions, and malted milk that they produced until 1957 and sold as far away as Australia. So, with a bit of ingenuity, we can come out of this as survivors. And I think today on the show, Nick and I need a bit of help and a bit of ingenuity, and we've introduced a very special guest to provide that and drink a Coors banquet beer. Oh,
cheers.
Cheers.
It's a fast fade out on this service we're using. Cheers.
And before we introduce the guest, Nick, when's the last time you had a Coors banquet beer?
Got to be the last time we recorded it for Cold Cans, my friend.
And we came very close to just re-recording the exact same cold open as we did that time. On this show. We had to stop ourselves.
Let me check when April 12th of 2019, just over a year ago.
Wow,
makes you think.
Very different world. Makes you think. It does make you think how time moves in a linear fashion.
Fascinating.
No, we're not doing bumps anymore. And you don't know, the listeners don't know who that voice is. And to introduce that voice, I want to say they're most likely, almost 100% certainty would not be this podcast or the studio in which we operate if not for our guest today on the show. It's not sad, it's happy. He is no longer living in Seattle, but helps get this all off the ground. He currently lives in LA, where he's making film and writing screenplays and doing a bunch of awesome creative shit. So thank you for being on the show. Longtime friend, longtime a listener, as I understand it, Alex Gamberg.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It's true. I'm a longtime listener. I've been
long?
listening since the beginning.
How long? Name the date.
Hold on. Give me just one second.
No, I believe you. I believe you. No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And, I haven't been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. What I found is that because I'm not driving, I don't have that trigger, that cue to cue me to open up the podcast app and press play. So I was a few episodes behind when you guys asked me to come on. Mm-hmm. And I've been catching up in the past couple days. I had six or so episodes to catch up on.
Oh God!
It was an interesting 6 episodes because this was like I think the first one was like at the end of February, so it was like the very beginning of what was going on. So it's almost like reliving.
Oh no!
Reliving this kind of slow descent into madness over the course of 2 days.
You joined us at the Nadir.
Yeah, based on the last episode, I think you guys are, full Apocalypse Now style.
Yeah, we were losing it a little bit. It was giggly and bumper filled.
It was fun though. I think it was much needed. Yeah,
much needed. But
just like that bumper suggests, much needed bits, gags, gaffs. I think the last episode was more the hotel scene where he's dancing. Martin Sheen is dancing, and like I think he smashes his face on a mirror. I don't know. It's before. Hopefully, this episode will lead us down the river and into the heart of darkness. And you're our Marlon Brando.
I'm Marlon Brando.
You are. Yes.
Many people have made that comparison before.
Is that because you're always shoving cotton balls in your cheeks?
I like the taste. What can I say?
Guys,
the Brando thing came afterwards. He liked the taste first. And somebody's like, "This is Brando, right?" And Alex was like, "Yeah,
yeah,
that's why I'm doing it, yeah."
And it just happened to be October 31st, so it was a Halloween costume. Thank you. Can you guys hold up your cans? I'll get a screen cap.
All right. These are fun cans. Here, I'll tell you what, I'll turn mine so it's this way.
Okay.
Cool. We've capped the screen.
Podcasting on air.
Nice. Love
so,
that
Alex,
dead air.
when did you go? The history with us is we were good friends years and years ago.
Yes.
In Seattle, spent a lot of time together, did a bunch of stupid creative stuff together, which was a lot of fun, and I cherished. When did you move down to LA?
I moved down here, I think it was 2015.
Man.
Feels about right. It's wild. It's been 5 years, but it feels like it's been 5 years. But it is, it's a city that takes a while to get used to, for sure, LA. And Seattle too, I think, but LA, I think in particular, it's so spread out that it's hard to kind of get your bearings here. So I do think like 5 years here is kind of like the equivalent of 2 years in Seattle.
Really? So
yeah.
In terms of like meeting people, like as friends and acquaintances that you can kind of hang out with to spend time with, or in terms of like starting your professional endeavors that you're pursuing while you're down there?
I think both. I mean, I guess it's not totally a fair comparison because I didn't come down here and start working at a large company where I could meet people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we worked together. We worked at Microsoft together in Seattle for those who don't know. And on my first day, Joey came down into my office and introduced himself to me like a human, a human being, and we hit it off.
Yeah.
That was that. But I think you asked me what team I was on at Microsoft, and I said Intune, and you said, okay, that's established, because that's like the product we work on. Like if I was in that building, it meant I was working on Intune.
Yeah. No, it's okay. You didn't need to know more than that. I think that if
the team is like the three people you work closely with.
Right. If anything, that endeared me to you, because a lot of people would start their job and I would talk to them about their job and they would talk about it in some sort of advanced way as if they had already known their whole lives they were going to have this job, and they knew what their their level is and where their status rewards cards go, and I didn't know any of that shit. And then talking to you, you were like, I similarly don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and that was great. It was the start of a great relationship. I'm glad that we're still friends.
Based on our mutual not knowing anything or what's going on.
Yeah. It was a lovely relationship, and I was so simultaneously thrilled that you were going down to pursue, I think initially being a screenwriter, but it sounds like you're now working on projects where you're kind of being the jack of all trades, doing the everything with regards to your project, and it was just very cool to see you do that, but also sad to see you go from Seattle.
It was definitely a tough move to make.
Yeah,
and I miss it up there.
You and Nick kind of just missed, like by not long. I mean, months. Where Nick moved to Seattle and you had moved away.
Right. Yeah. I think it was more like weeks. Honestly, I moved in.
So crazy.
I don't know the exact month you moved, I guess, but September of 2015 was when I moved to Seattle. You were gone. I only heard whispers of the legendary
strange. Really strange. Ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
Truly.
Oh, that's so sad. My favorite people. And then we finally, long overdue, had you on the show, and you said, I want to have one of my current favorite beers is not this beer. It's Goose Island IPA.
Yes.
And Nick and I'll tell you today, thought, well, that's going to be no problem. We'll head to our local grocery store. Nick lives above one right now. And we'll head down there. We'll buy a Goose Island. And as you put it, Alex, to me, after, I guess, a lot of attempts to try to send this to Nick and I, you led us on a bit of a wild goose chase, if you will. Nick?
I did.
You don't have a bumper for it?
No, I do. Sorry.
Wild goose chase. And we couldn't find the beer anywhere. And so we landed, yes. We were in the grocery store, and it was a lot
that one works.
And we landed on Coors. So why did you end up picking Coors? Maybe not as your first pick, but why did you go with Coors as your second?
Coors, well, I mean, I actually like Coors Banquet. I think Coors Banquet is actually a good beer. I mean, not like a good beer, but as someone who's not, I don't drink a lot of beer. I don't have the most refined taste. So to me, Coors Banquet is, it's not good, but it's refreshing. There's flavor in it. And I just have good memories of Coors Banquet too. I mean, I think this was like junior, senior year of college, a very common thing for us to have around.
Hell yeah.
I think you kind of senior year, you start to think maybe you've graduated Coors Light a little bit, and you
Sure.
decide to get fancy and get some banquets and get excited
Coors
about
heavy.
it.
You've already
Coors
gained
heavy.
the freshman 15, the sophomore 70, and the junior. Oh God, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
You
Nobody
can drink
knows.
the heavy beer.
Junior gigantic. You are a junior gigantic.
Yeah, the junior giant phase. Now you're senior sipping heavy beers.
Yeah, there you go. And then you're adults. Yeah, we can move on. So Coors, I pass right by Coors every time. I did not have that experience in college. I was drinking light beer, and then we were poking around with other like cheap, I guess, heavy beers. But for whatever reason, I never ever drank Coors. I still don't. We walk right by it in the grocery store. For some reason, I think it's not good. I think it's because in early college, I was drinking a lot of Coors Light, and I tried a Coors Heavy, and I was like, this sucks ass. There's flavor. I don't want this flavor. I'm doing this to, I don't know, put it in a beer bong or something. Why would anybody do this to themselves? And then I never went back to it. And the two times on this show, the first time we introduced Coors, and now here on the new alternative, I like it both times. It's really good. I agree with you. It doesn't have like a skunky flavor at all. It's really smooth, but has good beer flavor.
How is it on the cost range? Like this compared to like obviously it's more expensive than Rolling Rock or something, but that's akin to this in terms of not really being a light beer, being a more flavorful beer. Maybe that's why it wasn't catching on in college.
Yeah, I think Coors Light is also a little more expensive. Like if you're just drinking light beer, why not just drink the cheapest possible thing on the market?
Yeah.
And I think this is similar. If you're going to spend some money, it feels like to me like we've talked about this on the show. This is in the Applebee's land where if I'm going to spend some money, why don't I buy like a good local beer? And if I want to spend no money, I'll truly spend no money and get the cheapest beer. But why would I buy a Coors? And this
No, I think that is the apt criticism of a Coors Banquet is that it is kind of in a no man's land. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but it's definitely like more expensive than you would think it is for what it is. And it kind of inches into that territory of like, yeah, I'll spend an extra $2 to get a 6-pack of something kind of nice.
They've got that boomer market cornered.
Yeah, that's it. It's nostalgia, like for people older than us.
They rigged the economy so that they can buy Coors Banquet beer.
Yeah,
without blinking.
But I've also always really liked the label, the Coors Banquet label on the cans, and they have the bottles are actually kind of nice looking as well. They've got like the short little stubby bottles, the stubbies.
But I think Go ahead, Alex.
No, I think the design it's very classy in a way that I think a lot of mass market beers are not. It's not in your face. It feels kind of like a design that I would believe if I heard someone say that they hadn't changed this design since the beer was invented or whatever, I would believe it.
Yeah, they have that like classic script. Their logo is that classic Coors script that you'd see in like some mountain bar, honestly. It does feel good to
Mm-hmm.
hold one of these. Nick also pointed out that also this can that we're holding, Nick has a screenshot, and all of you fanatics will see it on Cold Cans media accounts, social accounts.
Follow
But
Cold Cans Pod. We
it's
get
the
$100
legacy.
every time we get a new follower.
Yeah. Well, who gives us $100? The
Um,
government?
Jeffrey Katzenberg. Okay.
We have a
Spreading the
small
word on Quibi.
No, we're not going back there. We have a small
Come
business
on.
association loan that is contingent on likes and followers. So follow now. Legacy series, it says, is this can logo. And I, to your point, love this can. This is a great can. And Nick pointed out it's a little like taller and skinnier
It
than
is,
normal
isn't
12
it?
ounce cans. That's
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
It's somewhere between a normal 12 ouncer and like what you see hard seltzer coming in, where it's like
But
really skinny.
it is still 12 ounces, right? Yeah, it is. Like you could have told me that this was like a 15-ounce can or something like that, and
Yeah.
that's why the
Yeah.
shape was like this. But I guess it's just a little bit less wide. It's a little bit thinner
Yeah.
And
and taller.
we finally gotten to an era where it's safe to print the first name Adolf on a thing they're selling. It says Adolf Coors Company,
Why
Golden,
would you say we've
Colorado.
finally gotten? You've been waiting for years to get to an era.
I bet there
People
was
have
a
been
long
fighting
time.
for us to get to this era for
You know how many few kids have been named Adolf in the last 70 years?
You can name your firstborn Adolf. No one
Maybe
will
I
stop.
will.
We've finally gotten to an era. You'll be
I dream of a
saying to
world
your
where
family.
everyone is named, every new child is named Adolf.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. I like
That's
it.
true acceptance. We're not going to be tolerant until everyone is named Adolf.
It's only
All right.
fair if everyone is named Adolf.
Are we at the end of the show now?
So, Alex, I did want
By
to
the way,
ask.
did we point out that it says limited release 2 of 3? So there, in theory, are different can designs?
I actually also have 2 of 3. Interesting that did we all get 2 of 3?
Okay. Yeah,
Maybe
we
that's
must.
like where they're at with their distribution now. But
Yeah.
that is cool. We could collect them all. We could put them up on our mantles.
Yeah.
You
Do
put
you
them
think that
above
there
your.
are people? Do you think that's what this is about? That there are people who will go out there, they'll buy more Coors because they want every.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
Bury it
It's
in a
wi-
time capsule. They opened in 70 years.
And there's not, and I
When a
I
new
think it's
Adolf comes
great
to
though.
power.
I mean, like whatever, right. But only because everyone is named Adolf.
Exactly.
I think it's great that people, get excited about the things that they're into and they want to collect them, and I think it's cool.
Totally.
It's not great. It doesn't feel great that it's being utilized by these big corporate structures, but
Yeah, that's the problem, though, right? Why do we need to collect all of these?
Right.
Because
People
they
do it. It
decided.
reminds them of their childhood, that sort of stuff. Like their dad drank Coors Banquet beer or something, or they drank it back in the day.
I guess so, but it's just
when they were a kid.
Alex's point. It's a company that started this promotion that said we're going to play off nostalgia.
Companies
So-
are
and-
people.
That's true.
All
Companies are
right.
individuals.
Point counterpoint.
A long-held stance from Cold Cans. Our lawyers are nodding. Companies are individuals.
And yes, Joe Glock LLC and Nick Patry LLC agree.
Yeah, we do agree, and we are not liable for anything said on this entertainment podcast, as we've reiterated before on the show. But I'm not into the collecting thing, especially empty canisters of beer or anything that I consume. I do kind of like the idea that somebody's out there like, ooh, it's a limited series. I'm excited. I'll wait for 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3, and I'll have them. I don't know what I'll do with them. I'll put them in the basement, but I'll have them. That's fun. I don't know.
It's kind of fun. I mean, I feel like it could go either way. It just depends on how you're looking at it. There's definitely something dark there, I think. But it's also like, you go through antique stores now, and it's, they've got the full set, the complete set of the special edition Coors or Heineken or whatever, old beer. And it's cool, it's kitschy, but I don't know I just think it's interesting to look ahead. Do you think that'll be valued in 60 years for us? Like, do you think there will be an antique market going forward, or do you think that was more like of a dying generation?
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Nostalgia
a
is always in the market, right? I mean, aren't we all?
right,
Don't we all want to harken back to our times where we were carefree and had no stress and you know
right.
experienced our firsts in a million different ways, and then that feels good
That's
to see
enough.
that can again.
Sure.
Nick, what were you saying? Sorry,
It, uh, it will be interesting. I don't know if things were mass produced in such a way back then. Like things that are antique now are not as mass produced as things that people are like saving now. I think like this Coors can, for instance, or maybe they're not made to as high of quality, so they won't last as long. Because a
right.
lot of that stuff is valuable because it lasted for such a long time. But yeah, it's tough to say.
I actually that theory is spot on. It goes back to the like that legacy series thing. Like this is if you collected Coors over time, again, kind of weird, but if you did, that's fine. Like every decade, I when they change their branding, I still have a can, and I love Coors so much. But with this Legacy series, again, this is just an advertisement promotion. You're just collecting advertisements. You're not collecting the original thing. You're collecting what the company mass produced to make for you to collect. So I think to that point, I don't see this succeeding. It's fun. It's fun to look at, but they're also burying it. They're not really pushing like you got to collect them all, like a Beanie Baby or something. It's just at the
Maybe
bottom of
that
the
adds
can.
to the
Yeah, that
legitimacy, though. If it's
well, that's part of the rush is realizing that you have to get
exactly
the other two.
that Rocky
Without
Mountain
that, it's
rush.
just it's just a
I'll tell you
corporation
what.
telling you what to
Without
do.
that, it's pornographic.
Yeah, and corporations telling you what to do is not something we stand behind at Cold Cans LLC. However, Cold Cans LLC is putting out an open call. If anybody can go out there and collect all 3 limited edition cans, we will Venmo you $100,000 when you send a picture to us.
Now, Joe, I thought your
I think that's
Venmo was
over
still
the.
broken.
Well, Nick will or Alex will. Maybe
I think that's
'cause
over
he's-
the allowable daily amount. I think there's a cap.
Probably.
Oh, sorry,
You
guys.
might have to send that over the course of a few years.
That was part of our gambit, though. That
I was
we
going
wouldn't
to say,
actually be able to
Alex,
sell it.
we'll edit this out. We won't tell the nation this, but these are the scams we run in every fucking
Oh,
episode.
okay.
So if you can just
Okay.
kind of keep it under
No,
the...
that's great.
Okay,
that
yeah,
seems
let's take
cool.
another take there then. $100,000, Alex. What do you think?
Wow. Oh, but you're showing me the money right now. That's in
Yeah, here it is.
several briefcases
Yeah, I've got it in cash,
just
but then we'll
piled up
convert
in
it.
your room.
Yeah, I'll convert it back to digital for Venmo. Where were we? Oh, I had a question. Can I ask it? Is it the asking question portion of the show, Nick, or are we?
I'll allow it.
All right. Alex, you said you don't drink a lot of beer in Los Angeles, and I am cracking my second. However, is beer culture at all different down there? At least when you're hanging around with people. You were in Seattle for a while. You saw the craft beer boom. Hoppy IPAs are the thing in Seattle. All of the little local breweries are doing that around us. It's very much a beer city. What's your perception of drinking in LA? Is it beer? Is it something else?
It's no, I think there's definitely a beer scene here. I mean, I'm the worst person to ask about it. But I think I see like little breweries here and there, and they've got people coming in and eating there. They've got, wait staff bringing items to and from the tables.
Nice. And bathrooms?
Sometimes money is exchanged. Yeah, they've got bathrooms.
Good.
That's pretty cool. Even in LA,
So-
they have bathrooms.
Yeah, so beer city for sure.
Have
It's a
you
beer
ever
city.
been to Firestone Walker Brewery?
I have not.
Okay, because that's sort of a California institution. When I was actually last in LA and had seen you, I went there with another buddy of mine. Good spot. It's like definitely an established craft brewery that
Okay.
distributes pretty widely at this point. So if you're ever in the mood for drinking some beers with some wait staff to bring you those beers, in
Great.
exchange for money,
Do they have bathrooms there?
They do quite
Okay.
quite.
Because I have a
do
very
that.
active bladder.
Mhm.
Do they have good bathrooms? This is an honest
They
question.
were they were pretty good bathrooms at the location I went to. I do remember them. There weren't a lot of holes to be filling, but they were clean.
Hold on, what?
In the
You know what I
bathroom?
mean? Sewer holes.
I'm sure that I don't.
Yeah,
When they crack a hole in the sewer and you just do your business right into it.
that is
You know what I'm
ultimately
talking
what
about.
happens.
I don't know why, but the image that came to my mind was just a bathroom with just holes in the wall, like lots of holes.
Glory hole
A men's room where you just go in and insert your penis and relieve yourself, mess free.
right? But the glaring hole in the plan, this grand architect's plan, is what if you have to go poo poo in that bathroom? You now have
Well,
to aim, and there's not good
They
aim
have
there. We all know.
funnels.
Yeah.
Nick has thought about this from every step of the way.
Which,
You,
by the way, funnel type of hole or something in itself? Is a funnel a hole?
funnel's a whole tool. It's a tool for a hole.
It's a fun hole. You guys get me?
These
You guys feeling
bathrooms
me
it
here?
is.
Give
fun
yourself
hole.
one. A funnel is a hole tool. It's effectively what urinals and toilets are, right? It's just funnels. We've just filled funnels with a little bit of water.
It's just the funnels.
Yeah, and you piss and shit, and then when you piss and shit into the funnel, instead of it being dry and it kind of getting kind of stuck there, there's a little bit of water there, and it helps get rid of it, right?
Yeah, no, it is essentially just a funnel. That's interesting. I don't know why I never thought of that. No, I mean it is
Why haven't you thought of that?
it is like anything that involves water, anything that involves getting rid of a liquid is probably gonna at some point boil down to some
funnel.
sort of a funnel,
That's a good point.
whether it's sink,
So that's been
a sink,
the LA
a
beer
drain.
scene segment.
I think I turned out to be your Marlon Brando after all.
Are you much of a drinker of any other alcohol, or do you not? It's not
I would
really
say beer
your,
is the most common
nectar of
thing that I
choice.
drank.
Okay.
And I think when I drink beer generally it's like an IPA that's not too flavorful, like
Sure.
a Goose Island, which is something that's fairly easy to drink.
Yeah, we get it. We couldn't find the Goose Island.
Yeah, well, it's just that I have a 6-pack in my mini fridge, and I went out and I put myself in harm's way to get that. So it's not a big deal.
Risked it all. for
I'll
that
Venmo
golden
request you
goose.
for it. It's fine.
Venmo Nick. Nick is the treasurer of Cold Cans LLC, so he'll take care of it.
Yep. Add us on
Okay.
Venmo. Cold
And
Cans
I don't-
LLC.
I'm out of the picture a little bit. I'm kind of just like an independent contractor contributor type situation. I had another segment. I have 2 more segments. I have a lot of segments.
Oh boy.
Well, what do you think, Nick? Should I not do them or what? I got a bunch of hair in my mouth.
I think
Oh no. Yeah, do your segments. What do you have for us,
I'd
Joe?
love to hear a segment.
Yeah.
It's always, as I can say as a listener, it's always fun when you come out and say I have a segment because
Nice.
it is a clean start.
Yeah, we can refresh. Maybe
You
we'll
can-
do a callback to one of our earlier bits,
Right.
and then it'll be.
But not everything has to be funneled through what was discussed earlier.
Wow, that's what they said 5 minutes ago. All right, here's my segment. Nick, cue the music. I'm not telling you what it is. Cue the music first. Anticipate what it's going to be. This is Cold Cans Classics, where we reminisce on a classic callbacks. This is Cold Cans Callbacks. No, don't give me an extra bumper. Keep the music going. Long before Cold Cans, there were 2 active podcasts really competing with one another in the podcast landscape. One of which was a podcast called I Hate the Bachelor. It was hosted by Nick Patry, and it was successful. One of which... What did I say about the bumpers? One One of which was that, and then the other one was not as successful, but was a lot of fun, and it was called Down the Hatch. Another drinking. Oh, come on, we were having fun. Down the Hatch, another drinking kind of title. And this was a podcast about rewatching Lost, and it was hosted by two young, very virile, extremely virile young men, with myself and Alex Gamberg on the pod hosting Down the Hatch. And so I want to go back, and that's it. I just wanted to mention that. Really, it's not much of a segment.
Go back.
It was supposed to be called "We Have to Go Back," rewatching Lost, but somebody had already made that podcast,
and we were so early on that we were thinking we would maybe still call it that, even though there was another podcast with that title.
I actually still think we should have done that. It was such a better title.
Boxed them out.
It was a much better title, and they had, I think, to your credit, they had stopped making episodes, I think, after like a few. So it was like a dead podcast that was still just out there.
Right.
But it would have been, I think it would have made it hard for people to find, for our thousands and thousands of fans to find us, which is what it's really all about. It's about the fans.
It's about the fans. And Cold Cans Nation, we're all in this together. Nick had legitimately did have thousands of listeners to I Hate the Bachelor. We didn't. Yeah. I don't know what we had, but it wasn't that much. But it was a lot of fun. Hundreds. And I miss Lost. I love Lost. Hundreds. I loved watching it with you and talking about Lost with you.
Yeah. It was a blast. It was a blast. And it was really fun to be like, 1% involved in I Hate the Bachelor too, to, talking to you guys about it and just seeing that that was received very well. It was our most successful podcast at the time.
White Noise Network.
The White Noise Network had...
It remains White Noise Network's top running podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a fun show. Me and Andy, I don't know if we've said his last name on here before, but it was fun. Alex did the cover art for it. Beautiful rose. Set on the deep abyss of a black background, reflecting the void nature of most souls of people who appear on The Bachelor.
The show was from Google Images.
Hey, that's metaphorical in a sense,
No, I put it together in Photoshop. I'm a whiz. I'm a whiz with that thing.
Photoshop whizzes, see?
It was easy.
I think middle-aged women love that show.
Oh,
it was Andy and I talking about, because if you went off the people who liked our Facebook page, it was all like middle-aged women.
Sure.
So that has to account for a pretty big percentage of the thousands of listeners. This was pre-Anchor days, so we weren't making any money off that thing. But
a goddamn shame.
It is. Why do something
what are
if
the
you're
numbers?
Not making money?
What are the numbers behind this podcast? How much do you guys make
on this one here?
Yeah,
our Patreon nets us about $10K a week.
Yeah,
when we release.
Do you guys have a Patreon?
$15K when we don't release an episode. No, we don't. We do not have a Patreon.
You should get a Patreon up there.
We should.
We would embarrass ourselves.
I'd love to be your Patreon.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I wouldn't donate personally, but
you would love.
I would love to be one.
Yeah. But the thing stopping you is your willingness to donate, not the fact that we don't have one. So if we created one, you still would love to be a Patreon.
Definitely. I love the opportunity.
By the way, are we going to eat some olives with this beer?
Oh,
yeah. Well, right. Actually, I have two more segments. One is Parable or Terrible. So let's do it. We have pimento green olives. Play the music.
I gotta refresh our bumpers here. I only have a limited amount.
So, Alex, can you explain why this is our Parable or Terrible pimento green olive?
I really can't. I had this idea in my head, in this sick little fantasy that these would go really well with Goose IPA. I don't know. A lot of times when I'm drinking Goose, I have this sense that it almost tastes like I get like kind of a green olive taste. I mean, that's only when I'm really drunk, but and I bought them just like I bought the Goose Island which
Yeah,
again I will be Venmoing you for.
Yeah, we got
Please.
we understand what you do, what you have.
And so I think it's a cool carryover though to Coors Banquet because it is kind of like it's a fancy food, and a fancy beer,
Okay.
perhaps the fanciest beer.
It is the banquet beer, and now we are to sit down at our banquet
Fit for a
feast of
banquet.
green olives. In your mind, pimento stuffed. This is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, can I say something? I fucking loathe olives. I
Oh,
can't
no.
stand the taste of an olive. But I've
Any
heard
olive?
any olive. I don't mind olives on pizza because it's just kind of
Okay.
a salt bomb on pizza, so like it works. But like just popping an olive is a nightmare. So, but
I
hey,
used to be like you, but I think if there are good olives and there are bad olives. Bad olives
Okay.
not worth eating,
well
which
these
is what
are
we hold in our hands. Good olives are good though.
these are Pearl's brand olives that came in little cups, little pudding cups.
Uh-huh.
Almost.
I think I actually have good olives. I think I have. They're like Filthy brand. They're like $8 for this jar.
Oh
Nice.
wow!
Yeah, which again I will send you a bill for.
Please, with interest.
Sure.
But it was only one the store had, so I had to get him.
Remember to send it to Nick. All right. Much like our
Think
podcast
I'll
on Lost,
conversate.
down the hatch.
Good one.
They were pretty good.
Oh, you like the olives?
No.
Ooh, I think that's good. I think that's a good pairing.
It is good. It's good after a sip of beer.
Yep. The beer sort of
Joey's
washes, clears out the heat from the pimento and the salt from the olive very well. I think that's good.
Joey looks extremely
Joe,
distraught.
yeah, you alive over there?
I think the parable is good in that eating that olive was bad, but the beer washed it down very well, as you guys said. Olives effectively are salt bombs, so
Right.
pairing a salty treat with beer, you're never going to go wrong. I can't advocate for Cold Cans Nation to go out there and be just willy-nilly eating olives like this. But honestly, it was pretty pairable. It worked for a guy who doesn't like olives. It was tough to stomach. I won't eat another one, I'll say that.
Thank you for your sacrifice, Joe, first and foremost.
I am
Thank you.
truly one of the nation's heroes in this this time. Parable for me. I'm nom.
No. That was a good one.
was good.
Yeah, I imagine it would be good as well with an IPA. So someday we'll have to try that once Goose Island resumes their distribution.
Yeah, well, actually, we do have two more segments now that you said that. We haven't hashed this out, so people are going to hear us workshop this on live on show. Do we have another episode of What's on Tapper? Jake Tapper, Sean Kennedy, Katie
No, we're-
Kurzik.
Sure. We're not changing them. What do you want to talk about?
Well, what are some other newscasters? Dan Rather,
Can rather.
Can Rather. Yeah, I thought it was like I'd rather be not doing this.
Rachel Maddow.
Rachel Maddow. Rachel.
Oh, this is bad.
Is this the
None of us have it.
What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
That Goose Island's distribution.
Yeah,
That Goose Island's distribution is fucked.
it is strange.
It was more fun to just do the things. I thought we would be able to just hit Rachel. The Rachel we had Can Rather. Rachel Maddow, I still feel like we can do. We shouldn't just give up.
We're
that
working on a back-to-back here, Joe. You got to keep the timeline in mind.
Oh, brother. All right. Well, the What's on Tapper is down the funnel, which is what we all know is how liquids go down to the thing. That's the callback. Fine. Last segment. In the first episode
I think
of
there's two
Coors.
segments left, aren't there?
Yeah, there's still 2 segments.
No, I ran out of segments. All right. In the first episode of Coors that we did a segment called Shot or Not.
Uh-huh.
and
Shut
this
on
was
up.
with Coors, or not with Coors, but then we did Fireball, the alcoholic drink, and I am going to take a sip of it. Nick, are you going to join me?
I don't have any Fireball.
All right.
This is all
Neither
remote.
do I.
Segment
Yeah,
fucking
just
sucks.
Alex. Go for it. Shoot the whole thing. Joey's got a little like travel size airplane bottle of Fireball. Come on.
I'll be all pissed up.
Come on.
God. And an olive.
Oh no, and the
Oh,
olive.
You popped the olive.
See, I can't imagine that's parable at all.
Oh, well, that doesn't
Fireball.
work.
So last time we did this was episode 83 or something of Cold Cans. You brought in a flask full of Fireball that you still had from hitting the slopes on that bachelor party, and I had
Yeah,
to
I
do
was
a
hitting that
shooter
slope.
of it.
That
was fun.
not.
That
I
was
call
fun.
that not. That's not a shot. That's
Not a shot.
fucking awful. It was rotten.
Hey, I've got some.
This is
what's
segment's
our
a keeper.
Yeah? What are our
This is
last
a
two
good
segments?
We have 2 more segments.
There's 2 more.
I don't have any more segments. I was having fun with segments. Alex said he liked them.
I say keep the segments
that was-
coming.
Okay.
2 more segments. 2 more segments.
This is the 2 more segments segment. I don't have any more segments. I think we should take this bullet train home.
All right, I got a beer advocate ranking from user Real Johnny Hobo. He says, "Hey, Coors Banquet should be a beer that is celebrated. You might ask why, though. I mean, this is just a corn adjunct lager, but this beer means a lot more, especially in American culture. Simply put, let me put it simple to you. This beer at one time was not shipped east of the Mississippi. You might be puzzled as in the last 3 decades of your life, you can remember seeing the, quote, silver bullet ads and the blue activated when cold mountains, or even the blue inlined cans keeping the beer from ever getting that tin taste. But
God.
until the mid-late to 1980s,
my
this
God.
beer was exclusively found in Colorado and westward. It took until the 1990s to finally get distribution. The cult classic movie, Smokey and the Bandit, really helped to give this brand a, quote, national awareness.
Jesus Christ. This is his review?
Wait a minute.
Didn't even touch on the
review.
beer.
Did beer used to taste like the tin cans that it came in?
Beer used to be tin. Pure, you're chewing on tin the whole time.
What
He
do they
gives
do
it a
now?
3.55 out of 5.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know what they do now.
There's a lot of nuance to a numerical score that goes to the 100th place decimal when the whole introduction is just now are you like
Now you might be
messed up
asking
in the head?
yourself.
You might be thinking, but I have the answer. That was the format of his entire review. Didn't even talk about the taste of the beer.
He to the taste, I just didn't read it.
Oh, he kept going?
It was too long, yeah.
Well, what can you
Leave Hobo Joe alone, okay?
Yeah.
fair
Hobo
enough.
Johnny Hobo.
Johnny Hobo. There's nothing problematic about Johnny Hobo. You leave him alone.
He does say, hey, you can easily see why people call this stuff, quote, liquid gold. You guys
Okay.
getting that?
Yeah, I got it.
You getting what I'm saying?
We got it.
Do people call it that?
I didn't know that. I thought it was the
Shit.
banquet beer. How many
If
nicknames?
people called
does
it that,
get?
it would definitely be on the can somewhere.
That's
Right.
I
true.
don't think it's called that.
It's just called the banquet beer. Just because Johnny Hobo calls it that. Again, not problematic in any way.
So overall, Coors Banquet has a 62 or a pour on Beer
So-
Advocate.
We are left to ask ourselves, is this a pour me another?
Now you might be asking yourself,
You might be out there asking yourself, we are left to ask ourselves, is this a pour me another? Or is it just pour down the funnel into the sewage systems?
so
at your
this is a
local
new opportunity,
municipality?
meaning the beer can move up in the rankings or down.
New opportunity? I thought it was a alternative.
Mm-mm.
Oh, no, that's a few. Yeah,
That's a
okay.
new beer. So
Oh, God.
Alex, we currently have it at number 50 in the Cold Cans
Right.
top 100 beers of all time.
Wow. It's
I'm
the
a little scared that it's gonna.
the
Right?
median.
Yeah. I'm worried that I brought it on your show today and that it's gonna result in it being ranked lower.
You put it on our radar for demotion.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Nick, can you read Alex the Cold Cans Handbook section 2.1 written and amended by Zach Patry?
I certainly can. Heretofore, as it were, as it always shall be, the guest on any given episode of Cold Cans shall not have any bearing on the rankings of the beers, and this shall last until the I'm reading here, until the 100th episode of Cold Cans. We're on episode 109 or other.
When's the last time we've read the bylines in the handbook? It's 100.
These are nil. Throw them out the window.
So Alex,
like the team records before the playoffs start in the NFL, you can throw these records out the door.
So Alex has an equal 1/3 weight into what we're doing.
I don't know
about
that.
Have 1/3 of the weight of current hosts, but in terms of ranking the beer, he does have 1/3 of the weight.
Well, with the amount of water retention I'm doing because of these green olives, he's going to be about 1/10 because I'm big fat boy in quarantine. All right.
So if you don't know, vote. I don't know if I'm interested.
Exactly where you want to put it, but just say, do you think it's higher than 50 or lower than 50 on the Cold Cans rankings? You can go from there if you're not comfortable giving an actual number.
Or exactly.
Yeah, 50. I definitely am not qualified to give an actual number. I mean, what's above and what's below it right now?
I can read
just to get a sense of the 50s range.
I can read from taint to tip 50 to 40. How about I give you the 5 above it? So if you were going from the taint up to the tip, you would read 49 Bush, 48 Blue Moon, 47 Hoegaarden, 46 Montucky Cold Snack, and 45 Uinta Baba Black Lager. And that is the top of our mild card beer tier, my dear boy. And if you read from 50 downward, so if you were at the taint and I guess you were going down to like one of the ankles, going down the funnel, as it were. So from taint to funnel.
Legs are just funnels after all.
50 downward, 51 Blatz, 52 Corona Premier, 53 Corona Extra, 54 Grolsch, 55 Peroni, the Italian lager. So that's kind of where you're above.
Interesting.
That's where you're navigating.
Wow. So you guys want me to say whether I think it should be higher or lower than it is right now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How is this going to impact your final? I have to know, like, what's at stake here.
Nothing ultimately.
This is just you're just interested. This isn't going to affect where you put this.
No, you have 1/3 voice.
All right.
We're going to.
Here's what I'll say.
I think we should 3-2-1 it.
Here's what I'll say. I'll 3-2-1 it. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say it's only tough because you don't know the full rankings or haven't drank all these beers.
He could know
if you are comfortable 3-2-1.
I don't know if I'm the right. Look, I will say I don't know if I'm the right first guest to allow to touch these rankings, but I will say that I have a very strong intuition for where Coors Banquet should be on the list.
I think he should 3-2-1.
I probably couldn't say that about any other beer.
Wow. Okay. In any listener at home right now that's just on the edge of their fucking seats can go to Cold Cans Podcast.
Hey, and if you're driving, please do so safely. Keep your seatbelt on when you're on the edge of your seat. Well, thank you.
Sure, of course. coldcanspodcast.com/rankings where you can find this. Let's 3-2-1 it then. Nick, do you know where you're going to put it?
I do know.
I do too. Wow. So we're all going to do it at once.
Yep.
In 3, 2,
1.
41.
Whoa.
Wow.
Alex and I both said 50. Leave it where it is.
Coward.
Nick said 41. So
higher than Blue Moon?
Yes, that is into wild card territory. 41 would
This is better than Bush Heavy.
So 41 would put it just ahead of Night Swim Porter, Great Lakes Christmas Ale, and Alaskan Amber, and just behind Bud Light Platinum, Dos Equis, and Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
Wow. This is maybe the biggest disparity when we've 3-2-1'd it before.
9.
Well, I can understand why, though, because I do think, like, personally, I would think that this belongs above Dos Equis. But I also think that, like, it doesn't belong above Blue Moon. You know what I mean? Like, this could just be a...
You're saying the rankings are...
No.
Not absolute. And
How did you
definitive?
get that from that? They're just not necessarily in the right order.
Wow.
Well, you're just gonna have to come back on the
This
show and
interview
do
is over?
Slash,
We'll have to
this
come
interview
back.
is over.
I'm going to recuse myself of the rest of the ranking.
Let's keep
though. I think
it.
you two
Let's
should.
keep it at 50. That I won't have to rearrange the website then when I upload this and change the rankings. I
And
like it. 50 or number 50 beer, Coors.
Coors are number 50, and we don't have to redo the website. And Alex and I agreed. Alex, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, buddy. It's good to see you again.